Are you an Ableton Live 10 user wanting to use the new CV toolkit? Did you know that you needed not only a DC coupled interface, but also floating ring cables? Yeah, I looked all over the internet trying to find cables, but guess what? I found the perfect place. Patchwork Cables. They specialize in custom cables, not only Eurorack modular cables, but also instrument cables, and they use the finest materials available. Just mention Asterix with your order, and you'll get an additional 10% discount. Hi, this is Asterix, and welcome to Wednesday Night Mix. Actually, it's Thursday night. I'm a day behind. I do realize that, guys. So, what I've been doing is I've got a couple of different projects going right now, but I wanted to kind of share with you what I'm doing right now. So, instead of using more plugins, I've decided to move back and use less plugins as an exercise to make sure that I'm understanding how the plugins work and how they coalesce with each other. So what I'm doing is diving directly into all of the stock plugins in Ableton. So what that means is I have to use stuff that I haven't used before. So I thought it was a little challenging at first, but after you spend some time with it and you know the way things sound and the way that you like them to sound, I was able to get beyond it. Sometimes I actually had to go out and look for information on how to do stuff because I've never done it directly with any of the stock Max for Live plugins. But I was able to find the information that I needed to be able to kind of navigate and get around some things. Now, let me just kind of show you what I did. So I kind of started out with a melody on this track, and I'm going to get into the mixing part of this. I did find mixing this to be a lot more challenging than the way I normally mix my other stuff that's using VSTs from other third-party manufacturers. I'm not really sure why. There are a lot of nice stock plug-in sounds inside of Ableton, but I found that I have to spend a lot more time with actual sound design and using them. And it's not saying that they're bad sounds. It's just to my ears, they either are not like really rich enough to me, or the rich enough the way that I'm used to having sounds sound. But Ableton has a lot of really cool flexibility to allow you to be able to build and really manipulate sound in a really interesting way. So with the first sound that I am using in this track, it's, just play for you what's happening here. It's like a pad kind of sound. Okay, so let me just turn off all the other effects here. But I started out with an instrument that's part of the Ableton stock plugins called Light and Shadow, and you can find that in the instrument section. It's just really basic. I knew I wanted to add a little bit more grit to it, so I pulled out an EQ that's specifically focused to have more grit. It's called Only the Good Parts, and I moved the dial into the 11 kilohertz range, or sorry, what is that? The 3.75 kilohertz range for the frequency. It makes it sound a lot sharper. I wanted to add more dynamics to it by adding a chorus. I have my modulation like a little bit towards maybe 1 o'clock position. And the amount is 2.75 milliseconds, and the rate is 3.74 hertz. Um, I still wanted to make it sound a little bit more different, so I added an EQ and I did a low cut to cut off the bass. So that's what's going on with that sound. Now this next sound that I pulled from stock is it's called an electric pop. Let me turn off all the other effects. Okay, so this one, again, this is a stock plugin. And let me just play for you what it sounds like. And it's... Sorry about that. Here we go. So it's like a pluck. So I have my warp mode into 70% on this one. The tone is at 78. I wanted it to be just a little touch sharper. So I added this erosion to it, which is a noise. It's adding noise to it. And then EQ, I'm just doing a low cut because I want all the frequencies to not impede with the sub. Okay, so from there, let's see, what did I do? I created a kick, and yes, it is a real manual kick that I actually had to manually finger drum in, and it's doing this. Well, it's not doing that. Oh, glitchy. So I didn't like the way that it sounded from a tone perspective, so I added a compressor. I'm still almost just not happy with it. It just sounds very flat. Since I'm only able to use the stock plugins, under normal circumstances, I probably would add like a Universal Audio API channel strip to it, which there's a patch in there called Radio Kick that I really like. It adds a really crunchy, real harsh compression to it. What I need to do is I need to learn the compression settings that give me that sound so that I can replicate that in everything. So that's going to be a goal on my checklist so that I understand how to be able to make that sound that I like anywhere using anything. But yeah, I added this compressor, and then I tuned the frequency down to 186 hertz. I have my Q at 0.35. My release is at 0.24, and it's a 2-to-1. So it did give me just a little bit, a little reduction, but not the crunch that I really, really wanted. And again, since I am moving backwards a little bit, just to make sure I understand how to get forwards, I am going to deal with this only in this song, but I'm going to make a checklist of all the things that I know that I need to go and learn so that I can replicate it. All right, so the next thing I tackled was, I think these are, let's see, what is this one? Hi-hats. Yes, I had to manually put those in there, and actually I learned a new feature, which is Command 3 in the piano roll. If you do Command 3, it allows you to be able to change into triplets or triples. Nope, I have not used this before. I've not messed around this much with the grids. Traditionally, again, when I'm making tracks, I am using just session view, recording clips in by playing them, and then manipulating the sounds to my desire. I've been doing it for a while, so I have to get out of that and try something different. And when you do that, I find that you learn something new and you learn different styles. So that's what I'm doing. So I edited some of these in, like the triplets, by using the pencil tool, which is just the B key if you're interested in knowing that. And that's what they are, hi-hats. The next thing I did was, let's see, what else is in here? Oh, it's just a bell. This is called a grotto bell or grotty bell. And this is another Max for Live stock plugin. And it's just a basic bell sound. And let me get over there for it. But I didn't just want it to be a basic bell. I wanted to do something different with it. So I added an effect called Broken Tube. And then I added an effect called 90 Degrees. And then, of course, I have that EQ in there that's doing the low pass, low cutoff filter to it. And this one is just kind of doing something really basic. It's actually adding a rhythmic texture. Okay, so that's that. And I've got one thing in here that I couldn't create with just the stock plugins. It's just a Vox in there. So nothing special with that. And then the sub. Now the sub took a little bit of working. So I had to use Simpler. And let me just show you that. So I created a MIDI track. And I created a Simpler. And I used a sample. Let's see, it's called Sub. I think it was Texas Sub. Yeah, Bass Sub Texas. I took the voices down to 1. I actually had to tune this one because it is a really low, a low key sub. So let me bring that back. So went back over to controls. I transposed it. Let me see. Oh, gotta be able to hear it. Okay, that's it. And then I turned the glide on to Palomento. I'm doing 160 millihertz for that, which gives you the glide. Okay, and then let's see, what else did I do to this? I actually think that's all I did to it. And then I believe, let me get rid of that for a minute. I added a punch driven. That's what I did, because I added it again because it wasn't punchy enough to me. And then if you tune the frequency down, it makes it a lot bassier. So that's where I am. So that's how I made this sub that's right here. So I also, the reason why I moved it into an audio track is so that I can manipulate the transposition of it to make the glide sound more glidey. So I'll show you that. So in here, let me just show you that. Go to here, go to transposition. So to make the glide sound a little bit more glidey, this is one of the ways that you can do that. It does warp the audio in weird ways, so you kind of have to be careful with this method. The other method is you can do pitches, which also gives it a different kind of glide kind of sound. But there's this is one of the couple of different ways that you can do it. So with this is what it's doing. So I actually think I need to move this one to make it a little bit more pitchy. Yeah, see how it gets kind of weird. Okay, so that is what's happening with that one. And altogether, it's doing this. Oh, you know what? Also, I did have a snare in there. I combined the kick and the snare into one track. So if you're wondering where the snare is, it's in here too. So, that's kind of the way that things are with this track. So let me just play it. Okay, also one more thing that I couldn't do with Ableton in its bare essence is I had to use the Waves vocal writer to kind of contain the way the vocal was sitting in the mix. So that's the only third-party plugin that I used. That's just my disclaimer. But I did end up using what's called it's reverb called Distant, and what I did was I changed the reverb amount to 25, unlinked the left and right side, so I have the left going 1/16, the right is 129 milliseconds, so it gives the vocal kind of a spread in two different directions. I don't think I did anything to modulation or the character, no, just the echo. And then the stereo, I bumped it to 124%. So that's kind of what's going on with this Vox here. Okay, so that is what I have for tonight. I will be doing another show tomorrow. I may not make it a modular show. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different tomorrow. Working on a project that I'm about to partner up with another channel. And I'm actually going to be doing some sound design. So tomorrow, the modular show is going to be more sound design focused. That is all I have for tonight, and thanks for watching. Please like if you do and subscribe, and I'll see